Warning: this video contains nudity from a little boy in a book from a Caldecott Award winner, 2 male penguins as parents from a book that won an ASPCA award, and real events that actually happened in a parenting product award book. Yes, we're going to talk about some banned books. First of all, I just wanted to mention I am currently wearing my Yayoi Kusama shirt, and she is just such a weirdo, just like us. She's like 96 years old right now. I think she's in her 90s, but she has always just believed in telling her story and making her art. And that's why she is so big now. So I felt like the shirt was very appropriate for this context. Anyways, I hope you all have your drinks, your matchas ready, or coffees, or cocktails, or wine, whatever you like. And let's get into this. Before we get into it, when I say banned, I mean banned from public schools, from curriculums, from the education system, from public libraries. You can actually still buy these books, but my problem with this whole thing is the kids who may need these books may never even see them because someone else decided that they shouldn't. And when I saw the reasons why these books were banned, I was genuinely shocked. Also, as a self-published illustrator and children's author, it made me think, would my book actually get banned? Like, it's about a girl who deals with death. Her grandmother passes away, which, oh no, people never die and they never have to deal with death. Also, she finds a magic power within herself, which some people might actually call witchcraft. Yeah, my book could actually be about witchcraft because a girl is finding ways to heal on her own. And, it just made me think, maybe I'm on the VIP banned list. Oh my gosh, I feel so special. My book could be on the list. Super exciting, but actually not. I can already see the Karens who might be coming in with the comments saying, talking about death is not right. Children shouldn't know about it. I'm right, you're wrong because I'm a Karen. And you know what I would say? Off. All right, let's talk about the first book. And I'm pretty much going in the order of which ones I think make the most sense. And okay, this one does kind of make sense why it would be banned or a little controversial. So the book is called Something Happened in Our Town for ages 4 through 8, and it follows 2 families, one Black family and one white family, after a police shooting incident of a Black man. So yeah, I think police shooting, probably not the best for kids, dealing with racism and stuff. Yeah, I do get it, but let me keep going. So the Black kid, his name is Josh, and the white kid, her name is Emma. And they both find out about this incident, obviously, through radio, TV, internet. I mean, the thing is, it's hard to hide things from kids these days. Most kids have a phone. Most kids can just walk around and see the news. It's going to be harder to hide these things from kids. And in my opinion, it is good to let them know so they're not shocked by these things and they are at least prepared for these types of things showing up on the news. Josh and Emma end up asking their parents about the incident. And the story just goes where the parents are honest and truthful about the entire thing, and they treat it They both treat it in different ways, but it was a difficult conversation for both of them. The book then ends with Josh and Emma back in school, and there's a new kid. And this kid is a little bit left out. People are kind of ignoring him. And Josh and Emma are nice to this new kid. They even sit with the new kid at lunch. So the lesson from this book is to create better patterns for kids to break the cycle of exclusion. And this is such a good lesson. Like, we should not be teasing kids. We should not be leaving kids behind. And also the book ends with gentle ways to talk about these things to your kids, because I'm sure there are many parents who probably don't know how to talk about shootings of Black people. And these are things that happen in the news that we see all the time. Basically, the book was chosen to be banned because people thought of it as anti-police. The only issue is these are real things that happened. And I think we can all agree with everything going on in the world, especially in America with all the shootings left and right. We can all agree that it is kind of a big thing happening, especially around ice. I mean, we gotta put that ice back in the fridge because it's not fair and it's already getting too cold. So the main reason why this book was banned was because of the whole anti-police thing. And I get it. It is quite dark. But also, we can't have books only around children floating in magic bubbles and riding rainbow unicorns. We need real events that could actually happen and children may have to deal with. And the thing is, this book did win an award, the National Parenting Product Award. I would say that it probably is not right for like a 4 to 6 year old. I don't know, 6 could be on the line, but like 6 to 8, I think it's fine. I think 4 is a bit young for the book. I mean, I don't think a 4-year-old's gonna read the news and be like, what's a school shooting, you know? So that's my thought. But I still think there's nothing wrong with the book. I do think, it tells an important story and it's something that we deal with. Is everyone good? Do you need a drink break? I'm gonna have a drink break. It's super hot right now. It's gonna be like 90 degrees today. Literally, it went from cold to hot in one day. It was like 60 degrees and then all of a sudden it's 80 degrees and now it's 90 today. So I need my beverage. I am drying up. And yes, I'm going to have my drink break. All right, for the next book, this one probably pisses me off the most because it kind of hits my heart the most and just my experience the most. And this book is actually one of the most banned books out there. Like when I looked up list, this one was always at the top. And the main issue around this one was there were 2 father penguins being good parents. Shocking. Anyways, the book is called And Tango Makes Three. And the story is based on true events that happened in the Central Park Zoo in New York. All of the penguins were having their babies, like mating season, male and female laying eggs. And these 2 male penguins, Roy and Silo, they just loved hanging out with each other. They enjoyed being in each other's company and having fun. And they attempted to lay an egg also. And what they did was they ended up sitting on a rock, hoping that an egg would come. And then a zookeeper notices this and he sees another penguin couple who laid 2 eggs. And he knows that this couple can't really handle multiple eggs at once. So he grabbed their egg and put it under Roy and Silo's egg. So they pretty much magically had their egg baby. And yeah, in the story, the egg hatches, a baby penguin is born named Tango, and they are just great parents. And that is the controversy behind the entire thing. How could two fathers be good parents? That was the main problem. Now, I'm going to say something pretty controversial myself. There are actually same-sex parents who are better than male-female parents. Isn't that shocking? Who would have thought there could be good parents who are of the same sex? Yeah, I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. I think we can all agree the only thing that matters is the kid is raised well with love and is taught the right way. It doesn't really matter if the parents are male, male, female, female, he, she, they, them, this, that, up, down. The only thing that matters is that they're good, loving parents. And in this book, they were great parents, and people looked at it as a controversial thing. So I do have a little bit of some fun facts because this is a true story. I guess Silo eventually left Roy for a female penguin named Scrappy. Scandalous. Oh my gosh. When I heard that, honestly, I was actually a little sad because I really wanted them to do well as a couple. But I also had to realize relationships don't always last, and it's kind of a normal part of life, even in the penguin world. Sometimes a queer animal or human could become straight later on. It happens. I mean, my ex, who I was madly in love with, is now a woman. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just life. So I just want to mention why this story probably hits me the most. I am just such a queer advocate. I think I've just been around queer people my entire life. Literally, the first man to hold me was my gay uncle, my Uncle Nick. And growing up in high school, I had gay friends, lesbian friends, some friends I didn't even know were gay but ended up being gay later, trans friends. My junior prom date was this little Asian gay guy who I was like 5 inches taller than. One of my best friends of all time, literally, we are like sisters, like soulmates, soul sisters. We knew each other since high school. We lived together. She is trans. I have watched her from being a chubby boy with makeup in high school to being a full-blown woman. We lived together. We traveled together. And she's literally like my soul sister. And she went missing last year. And I have literally tried everything I could possibly do. I messaged friends, I messaged her mom. You know, it hurts so much, and I love her so much, and I will always stand up for her and be an advocate to queer trans people. It does hurt that I genuinely don't even know what happened to her. Like, she could still be around. I don't know. It's just I never heard back from her is what happened. Also, my ex of 3 years, who I was madly in love with, who I was crazy heartbroken over, is now trans, and that's okay. There is nothing wrong with any of this. We have a choice on how we want to live our lives. Okay, now we're going to get into the ones that I just can't even believe are banned. First one is called In the Night Kitchen by Maurice Sendak. Yes, Maurice Sendak, the same author-illustrator who did Where the Wild Things Are, one of the most well-known children's books out there. That book literally has a movie out. So what this book is about, it's about a little boy named Mickey who falls asleep, falls out of bed, falls out of his pajamas and then falls into the night kitchen. It's kind of like a dreamy, surreal story where Mickey falls into a cake and the bakers don't see him in the cake and they end up putting him in the oven. So he eventually rolls the dough up to make it like an airplane, and he puts the measuring cup on his head and he flies out into the night sky to get their milk because the bakers thought that he was milk. The cake gets baked. Mickey slides back into bed. The end. The book literally ends with, "Thanks to Mickey, we have cake every morning." The book is about cake. Cake! And I realize this book is not really about the story. This is about the nudity. Oh my gosh, look at that naked boy. Oh my goodness. Very, very sexual. No, I don't think so. Like, honestly, if you find that book sexual, then please go see a therapist right now because I think you might have a problem. People were saying this book would desensitize children to nudity. But think about it. If you take your clothes off, you're naked. I don't think you can hide that from children. Literally, we all see each other naked. And in my opinion, I don't think we need to make such a big deal around the whole nudity thing. Unless it is sexualized, unless obviously there's a negative experience around it, duh. But to me, I did not see any problem with this book at all. I think parents and teachers were just taking it too seriously. And I looked it up. The author just said he wanted to create a realistic experience. And I think if that boy was wearing clothes, he wouldn't have been mistaken for being milk, and the story wouldn't have worked so well. Okay, the other craziest thing that I found out about this book, people were actually drawing diapers and pants onto the boy. And this book won an award, a Caldecott Honor award. So they're basically destroying masterpieces. And it's actually insane to imagine. Like, I think about The Birth of Venus, one of my favorite pieces that I have ever seen in person in Italy. Can you imagine if someone actually drew a bra and underwear on her? That's like murdering a masterpiece. You should go to jail for that. You should not be ruining the art that the artist created. Just tell me, would you paint over The Birth of Venus? Would you? Actually think about that. And I can already see people in the comments saying stuff like, "That little boy is naked, you pervert." And let me tell you something. I'm not the pervert. Catholic priests are. Go yell at them. They're the ones, not me. And then there's an even dumber one that got banned, which is called Draw Me a Star by Eric Carle. Yes, the Eric Carle, the one who made The Hungry Caterpillar, one of the most well-known children's books of all time. And why did this book get banned? Because of a simple cutout of naked Adam and Eve. Does this look sexual to you? Tell me. Does it? This shocked me the most. Honestly, I could not believe that this book got banned for that one picture. Literally, it's shocking. Also, people said that this book was featuring witchcraft because the boy was drawing a star, a pentacle. He's a witch now? Oh my gosh. It's ridiculous and it doesn't make sense to me, especially for this book. And, I really want to talk about nudity just for a moment. I grew up in America, And I feel like in America, nudity was much more of a big deal. I've traveled all around Europe and I'm currently in Portugal. And just walking around, I see a lot of nude statues. That's just like the European style. I go to the beach, I see lots of topless women on the beach. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shocked when I first saw, just topless women they don't care. They're just walking around bra off like it was nothing. I was a little bit shocked because I'm personally not very used to that. After the first time seeing it, it became nothing. I don't even notice it anymore. It's just not a big deal, really. But Americans, oh my gosh. I have seen Americans giggling and laughing, even filming women who are topless because it's so funny that they're not wearing a shirt and they're naked. And I just feel like we're kind of making it such a big deal to be naked. I don't think it should be a big deal. Like, look at cultures in the past. There were women who were topless and no one sexualized it like they do now. I feel like the censorship actually makes it worse. And I will give you another example. Think about drinking in Europe. People can drink at a younger age in Europe. And I can honestly say that people in Europe handle their liquor a lot better than people in America. I think because they're not allowed to drink, they want to drink even more. I drank a ton before I became 21. And I almost think if it was legal, I probably wouldn't have cared that much, honestly. I mean, I literally went to the ER twice for alcohol poisoning. My bad. Obviously, we shouldn't be showing nudity everywhere, and there are definitely limitations to what we should show, but this just does not make sense to me. So during my research, I found a few well-known classics that were actually banned in some areas, in some libraries, in some schools, and they just really, really surprised me. The first one is The Giving Tree. I think most of us know about this book. It's about a boy who grows up and there's a tree there, and this tree just constantly gives and gives and gives, and the boy just takes it until the very end. And I always liked this book because to me, it felt like unconditional love from a mother. That was the energy that I got. I would always feel so emotional at the end when the boy is a man and he just needs a place to sit and he sits on that stump. I actually wrote about this book as an inspiration for my book in a Substack post. I even did a presentation around designing for emotions using this book as an example. So I was very shocked that people didn't like this book. And the reason why they didn't like it was because people were saying that this book features a narcissistic, toxic relationship. Because that giving tree is giving, giving, giving. That boy is taking, taking, taking. And I was really shocked to hear that. When I first heard it, I was like, really? Huh. So I did read the book again. I think, I first read this book like 20 years ago, maybe. So I needed a fresher up. I decided to read the whole thing from beginning to end just to get an idea. And I'm not going to lie, that boy is a little toxic. He's kind of a little He's kind of like the douchey, narcissistic taker. And now that I read it as an adult, I do see it. I have to say I see it. If the boy was just more thankful, because the tree literally was giving itself. The tree was giving her leaves, her apples, her trunk to the boy, and the boy just kept taking, and then he would leave her alone, do his own thing, ignore her, and she would sit there waiting. I just wish the boy was thankful and a little bit nicer to the tree, because the boy just kept taking. He's like, I need this, I need that, I need a house, I need a boat, I need money. And the tree would just give every part of itself to the boy. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but yes, I did see somewhat of a toxic narcissistic relationship between this tree and the boy. But do I think it should be banned? I still don't think that it should. I still think it's a very emotional, well thought out book. It teaches about unconditional love. And reading the book does make me want to appreciate the love that I get, because it's so important to appreciate the people that just love you unconditionally. For this book, I am still genuinely shocked that people even thought of banning this book. I cannot even believe I am mentioning it. But Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak again. And the reason why people wanted to ban this book was because, first of all, the boy is showing rage. He's showing rebellion to his mother. And he goes to bed without supper. And parents and psychologists were saying, this is bad behavior. Kids shouldn't feel this way. They shouldn't feel like the person that takes care of them is not even going to give them food, which I get, but it's just one supper. And he was a bad kid. I just didn't look too much. Like, I don't think that's a big deal. I'm sorry. Secondly, a lot of parents were saying that the boy was using some sort of ritualistic witchcraft. You know, his room magically turns into a forest and then an ocean. Literally, my book, the girl is in her bedroom and then she falls through space and ends up on another planet. Does that make it bad? You know, I really think my book's going to be on the banned list, and I am so flattered to hear that. Lastly, and this is the funny part, parents thought that this book was too scary. They thought those monsters were going to give those children nightmares. But you know what I found out when I read about it? The parents were afraid of the monsters, and the children just loved it. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? And when I look at these monsters, I don't think they're scary. I genuinely do not find them scary. I think they're cute. I will say, I do think the monsters in the movie are pretty scary looking, which is probably why I didn't watch the movie, even though I was tempted to watch it. I don't know. Was the movie Where the Wild Things Are good? Like, would you actually recommend me watching it? I'm kind of curious. Anyways, I absolutely see no reason to ban this book. I genuinely think there is no problem with it at all. I even wrote another Substack article on books that inspire me story-wise, and I used Where the Wild Things Are as a great example. And to people who found the boy's actions rebellious or wrong, I feel like it is normal to be rebellious. As a kid, we rebel. And I look at this book as an outlet for children to release that anger within themselves, or that crazy wild energy that we have as kids. And in a way, it's better because instead of them actually doing it in their room, they can kind of let it out through the book. And once again, Maurice Sendak talked about all of his books. He wanted to create real, genuine experiences, like how kids actually feel, how they would actually just run around the house naked. So I feel like he was just trying to be honest with his books, which is why I am still shocked that Where the Wild Things Are was even thought of being banned. So for this next book, the book is called Skippy Jones, which is actually a longtime favorite, and there are many editions of this book. But the controversy behind this book was the Spanish stereotypes. Now, I didn't fully read all these books. I read a few pages, and I think I can see it's like they're kind of talking about Spanish people, like they act like this, they act like that. I don't think it is that bad in my opinion. And maybe this just has to do with the way that I grew up. I grew up in Hawaii, and people pretty much just laughed at everyone's culture. It was like a normal thing, seriously. There was a very famous comedian that everyone loved named Frank DeLima, popular in Hawaii in commercials. I saw his live shows, and he kind of would just jokingly talk about all of the cultures in Hawaii and just tease things about them in a funny way. Like everyone thought it was funny. Like he said a Filipino joke, the Filipinos were laughing. He said a Chinese joke, the Chinese people were laughing. So I never thought it was that big of a deal with the whole stereotypes. I will say there is obviously a line behind this whole thing. For example, the N-word has a lot of negative history behind it, a lot of things that people will think about from this word. And I personally do not think you should say this word. I just think it is wrong, and it's just there's just too many bad things that have happened, and it brings up bad memories from the whole thing. But if you want to say an Asian person drives like shit, I don't care. My mom, who is Chinese, literally jokes all the time about being Asian, so she drives bad. And yes, my mom does drive bad. She uses that as her excuse to drive bad because she's Asian. And the whole Asian people are all smart. You know, I love it. I'm all for it. I'm Chinese. So yeah, you can keep saying that I'm smart. I don't mind it. See, those are not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny. You can just kind of joke about it type of thing. I guess I would say if there is some real strong negative history behind the word or the stereotype, then you probably shouldn't say it. If it's kind of funny and joking, like Asians can't drive, I think it's fine. All right, let's talk about probably, I would say, one of the most controversial books, I Am Jazz, which is about a child who's a boy who wants to be a girl, who feels like a girl, who wants to dress like a girl, and eventually becomes a girl. I was actually shocked that there was even a book on being transgender. I was like, I kind of thought it was off limits. Like, I want to see more of this stuff. I just was shocked to see that there was a book on transgender identity. Anyways, I read this book. I read this book from beginning to end, and I am not lying to you. I genuinely could feel myself tearing up, getting emotional. It was just a really beautiful story. And the story does not make me want to switch genders or anything. The story is about a girl named Jazz and her story, and I am just reading her story, and she is able to tell it. And it just shows, you know, growing up, she always wanted to be called her. She always wanted to wear dresses, always loved pink things, always wanted to be a mermaid. You know, the parents were kind of confused and unsure, and eventually the parents eventually take Jazz to the doctor, and they talk about being transgender. And it's Jazz's first time even hearing about it. And the part that made me emotional was the parents were like, now you're going to be living a different life by doing this, but we love you no matter what. And it was just so beautiful to see that, because I know that it's hard for, especially for trans people, to be accepted by their family. I mean, my trans friend, I will tell you, she had issues with her mom. The book even had areas where Jazz kind of had to accept she might be teased. There was like a page where, yeah, I get teased sometimes, but the people who really know me know that I'm the nicest person in the whole world. Doesn't that make you so like cry? This book should be banned for making you cry. Like that's how I look at it. No, you know, if a book makes you emotional at the end, then the book has done its job. That is the goal. And this is such a good book. I very much highly recommend anyone to read it. It also ends with a picture of the real Jazz who went through the transformation from boy to girl. So I read this story and I look at it as me learning about this character and watching them grow. Okay, let's look at the pattern, because there is a pattern behind all of these books that are getting banned. The trends are clear. First of all, books around LGBTQ plus representation are all getting banned. I've seen so many lists around having two fathers, or a child choosing to wear a dress, or wanting to be trans. Secondly, books that are around racial injustice and real events that have happened that could possibly be dark, but they actually do happen. Next, books that are around nudity, even if it is a simple flat paper cutout of Adam and Eve. And lastly, stereotypes. And I have to say, I hope no one will say that I've been tarnished by having so many queer friends. Like I actually got their sickness or something. Because I am healthy. Physically. Maybe not mentally. Where am I going with all of this? The truth is, people need to tell their own stories, unfiltered and uncensored. And right now, it is literally easier than ever to self-publish your own book. Thanks to Amazon KDP, I want to see more real stories out there by real people, not getting filtered through to traditional publishing who could possibly change your book up and change characters and storylines because of marketing, because that's what they think is better for the book. Also, something that I recently found out, it is actually more probable for you to get into Harvard than to become traditionally published. Yes, literary agents get up to 10,000 to 15,000 emails every year. And from that, they choose up to 5 new people to represent. And even once you find your literary agent, the agent has to sell this book to publishing houses. And if the publishing houses don't like it, then the book's not going to get published. This is not from making the book. This is from getting the literary agent. It could take 2 to 6 years to finally see that book on the shelf. 6 years. That's so long. Literally, you can self-publish a book pretty quickly. I mean, you do have to have the drawings done, but it's easy. It's not that hard. And that is the reason why I created my own series, Self-Publish Your First Children's Book series, where I pretty much just go through all of the steps to self-publishing your own book, from the idea all the way to just the lessons that I learned at the end. I made so many mistakes self-publishing my book, and I truthfully talk about all of the experiences, the money that I lost along the way. But I would say that this series would be the series that I really wish that I had when I was first self-publishing my book. So I'm going to share that in the link below. I really hope you watch it because you deserve to tell your story. Whether you grew up gay, trans, in a Palestinian family, or navigating racial injustice, you deserve to tell that story. You shouldn't need a traditional publisher's permission to make that book. And that is why self-publishing exists, because gatekeeping exists. When the gate closes on certain stories, self-publishing is the door that stays open. So to end this, there is nothing wrong with having 2 dads. Nothing wrong with feeling different. Nothing wrong with talking about real events. And definitely nothing wrong about a naked boy in a dream about cake. So if you want to self-publish your first book, I will leave the link below. But first, you have to tell me, which banned book surprised you the most? Which one made you go, wait, that's banned? Drop it in the comments. And if you have a story that the world needs to hear, write the damn book. I'll help you figure out how. All right. Thank you, and see you later.